Solved 6 wars in the last 6 months, a little more than 6 months now, and I'm very proud of it. I thought the easiest one would be this one. It's actually the most difficult.
Alaska is front and center this morning as President Trump is on his way there right now ahead of his meeting with his Russian counterpart. What deal Russia may now be trying to broker to end the war in Ukraine? And what's at stake for the Kremlin if talks turn sour?
The fight to stop the redrawing of congressional maps in Texas is heating up as the state's Democrats look to California for help.
We know that there's a certain point where we pass the baton to another state and say, we have run our leg of this race. It is time for you to run your leg of the race.
How Governor Gavin Newsom's plans to redraw California's maps in retaliation may be the push that some Texas Democrats need to return home.
Fox 26 and Fashion Fair are teaming up to give families a helping hand during back-to-school season with some random acts of kindness. A look at the heartwarming moment when Kobe surprised a family getting a bit of shopping done.
You're watching Fox 26, and now, great day.
Well, we begin this hour with a live look at the Bay Bridge up in Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area. Looking pretty nice. Easy drive in or out of the city at 5:01 on this Friday, August 15th. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kim Stevens.
I'm Liz Gonzalez.
And I'm Justin Willis. Thank you for starting your day with us. TGIF, emphasis on the TG. And we're actually getting some really nice weather as we head into this weekend. And next weekend's going to be a different story.
We'll focus on the now.
Yeah, so let's focus on this weekend. You'll find out about next weekend coming up in a little bit here. But let's get today going here and show you what's happening right now. It's 69 degrees out there. The winds are out of the northwest at 5 miles an hour. Dew point is currently at 55. All right, here's the rest of the day. We will have plenty of sunshine out there for you once again. 77 degrees at 10 a.m. at noon, 85, and at 5 o'clock, 95 degrees. Wind speeds in Fresno will get to about 8 miles an hour in the latter parts of the day, but picking up into the evening. All right, so your next weather maker. All right, bringing us some nice, cool, well-ish weather this weekend. I'll explain what's going on with that coming up.
President Trump is in the air right now, headed west to Alaska for today's summit with Vladimir Putin. The face-to-face summit could determine what happens with the war in Ukraine. President Trump has long promised to put an end to the 3.5-year war. The Kremlin has said after the president's talk, their delegations will meet. And then there's expected to be a joint press conference. President Trump has said after this summit, there would be another meeting that includes Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. But Russia has not agreed to that. But there's more to this meeting than just that. Another question is whether Putin will be arrested once he steps on U.S. soil. The International Criminal Court issued a warrant back in March of 2023 accusing Putin and Russia's Commissioner for Children's Rights of unlawfully deporting and transferring children from occupied areas of Ukraine to Russia. Now, those are war crimes, according to international law. The charges claim Putin either directly ordered the deportations or failed to prevent them as the commissioner's superior.
Despite the accusations, it's unlikely that an arrest will be made today. That's because U.S. law provides no grounds for Putin's detainment. In the year 2000, under President Bill Clinton, the U.S. signed the Rome Statute, the treaty establishing the criminal court, but it turns out the U.S. never ratified it. Then in 2002, President George W. Bush withdrew the U.S. from that treaty.
Since then, successive administrations have kept the U.S. outside of the court's jurisdiction. President Trump's even gone as far as sanctioning International Criminal Court officials and discrediting the court's legitimacy.
Russia has also rejected the international court, calling the warrant politically motivated and threatening symbolic retaliation. Neither Russia nor the U.S. are members. Today's meeting in Alaska marks Putin's first visit to the U.S. in a decade and his first non-UN visit since 2007. Pro-Ukraine protests are expected to continue today in Anchorage ahead of the world leaders meeting. Hundreds of demonstrators say they're concerned that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky isn't part of the meeting. The protesters also made anti-President Trump statements over what they call his heavy-handed leadership, and they condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin. They say they're skeptical about any positive results.
They are both malignant narcissists who have only their best interests at heart. If they truly wanted to talk about what was going on in Ukraine and how to end the war, they would have included President Zelensky.
I hope it will be a successful meeting and something can be resolved. However, I'm concerned that the Ukrainian representative is not here as well.
Zelensky and other European leaders have expressed concerns that the bilateral U.S.-Russia summit could leave them and their interest on the sideline. And now new reports are circulating that Putin and President Trump might strike an economic deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The Guardian speculates that Putin will try to woo Trump to Russia's side of the war by discussing, quote, huge untapped potential in economic relations between the two countries. The Daily Telegraph says President Trump might offer Putin economic incentives, which he hinted at on Fox Radio yesterday morning. This could include possible access to rare earth minerals in Ukrainian territories and in the Bering Strait between Russia and Alaska. Nothing has been confirmed. President Trump does tell Fox Radio that the meeting has about a 25% chance of not going well. If it doesn't, he would probably hit Russia with more sanctions. We will be covering developments on this high-stakes meeting all morning long and throughout the day. We'll be streaming the president's arrival in Alaska later today on our website, KMPH.com. That's scheduled around 12:30 this afternoon. That stream will continue around 4:30 when the two world leaders are expected to sit down for their meeting.
The time is 5:06, and here's what's going on with our forecast today. So that low pressure that's coming from the north really pushing southward into our area, and that's really going to get us below normal for the weekend by just a couple degrees here and there, so that'll be nice. We still have some lingering low pressure there that is actually causing some issues there or contributing to some issues there in Arizona, but also creating the possibility of some instability in the Sierra Nevada mountains each afternoon through the weekend there. This high pressure system could actually come back next week, and that could get us cooking once again. It's going to get some influence from that hurricane that's way out over there on the other side of the Atlantic. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. As far as that instability up in the Sierra Nevada mountains there, just a few areas expected this afternoon, 3 o'clock. Maybe the higher elevations really, but just talking about maybe a 10% chance of any rain, thunder, lightning, and that sort of thing happening there until about 7 o'clock tonight. Chances pick up again in a more widespread area tomorrow afternoon about 5, and then again on Sunday afternoon, but this time in the more northern Sierra there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So just some very light stuff happening in the mountains this weekend. Relative humidity, it's going to be at 45% today, just down a little bit from yesterday. 21% at its lowest in the latter parts of the day, rebounding to 55%, and the dew point is at 55. All right, so the next few days into the weekend look like this. How about this, huh? 97 today, that's normal. And then we're 3 degrees below normal tomorrow, 4 degrees below normal Sunday. Saturday and Sunday looking really nice. Plenty of sunshine out there, 60s overnight. Wind speeds about 5 to 10 miles an hour, but we could see some 15 or 20 mile an hour gusts over the course of the weekend. So we're fixing to have a pretty nice weekend here in the Central Valley. Up next, we're going to get a look at your highs and lows everywhere else. That's coming up next.
An inmate is now back in custody after walking away from a community reentry program. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation says 46-year-old Felipe Rodriguez left the Kern County Community Reentry Program early yesterday morning before 5:30, but officers found him. They say Rodriguez will be booked into the North Kern State Prison now. Rodriguez was serving a 4-year sentence for burglary out of San Luis Obispo County. Cancer is a monster, and it is why a Madera family is asking for help. Mark DeLeo is battling acute lymphoblastic leukemia. His family says he is in desperate need of a transplant at Stanford, which is his only chance at survival. The DeLeo family is no stranger to this battle. Mark's fought cancer before.
I don't think I stopped crying for like 15 minutes straight, and then I called my wife, and I don't think we could say anything because it was the 3rd time now, and it's a different type of cancer, so I knew it was going to be a different regimen, and I knew it was going to be harder because this is a harder cancer to beat.
So what will happen is if we don't get the financial support, then we have to put off the transplant. The only thing with that is the longer that we put off the transplant is the higher risk for him to not only relapse and his leukemia can come back as a different type of leukemia, which is what we don't want at all, because there is worse types of leukemia out there, and we are thankful that this one is curable for the most part.
Well, the family launched a GoFundMe fundraiser and is hoping the community will chip in to help cover the cost of treatment. We have all that information on our website at kmph.com.
Time is just about 5:10. A man from Long Beach is alive and well after being trapped behind a powerful waterfall for nearly 2 days in Tulare County. The Tulare County Sheriff's Office says that area is dangerous and it's generating a lot of calls for help. Sunday evening, 46-year-old Ryan Wardwell set out to rappel the 7 Teacups waterfalls along the Kern River. 4 members of his group decided that terrain was just way too dangerous. They turned back, but he kept going. Captain Kevin Kemmerling with the Tulare County Emergency Services Office says the reason why this area is called Teacups is because the waterfalls form rock pools, each one requiring climbers to use ropes and equipment to rappel into and out of.
So when people get into these waterfalls, they create hydraulics, which are essentially drowning machines. And the last teacup that he had entered is about a 25-foot waterfall. He rappelled into it, but the water was so forceful that he couldn't swim out of it. So the hydraulic kept pushing him back into the back of this cave, which is behind the waterfall. Every time he tried to escape out over the past 3 days, he wasn't able to get out, and it just kept trapping him in the back.
In fact, the sheriff's search and rescue team got the call for help Monday. By Tuesday morning, a drone spotted him alive but stuck behind that 25-foot waterfall. Rescuers, as you can see there, used a helicopter and hoist operation to pull Wardwell to safety. He was flown to a nearby landing zone and treated for dehydration and mild hypothermia. He was then reunited with his family shortly after the rescue. Kemmerling says that 3 people lost their lives in that same spot all on the same date last year. He says a lot of people want to visit and experience the place because of the unique pools, but people underestimate the danger. The sheriff's office says this case is a rare example where skill, preparation, and a little luck made all the difference. Time is now 5:11. Some Texas Democrats now airing out a list of demands in order for them to return home. What consequences that state's governor is threatening them with, and how California plays a role in the Texas Democrats' ultimatums.
Hi, I'm Monty Torres with Fox 26 News on YouTube. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel, where we have loads of great content for you to choose from. And while you're here, why not click on the subscribe button right here? That way you can stay in touch with all the latest breaking news, everything news related within the Central Valley. And thank you for watching.